This girl was like a hunted animal. Skinny, skin and bones. Shaggy. Hungry. She was brought to the hospital by an ambulance called by neighbors. The girl's family, her stepfather and stepmother, had no time for her. They had been having fun for a week. Lana was diagnosed with severe exhaustion, plus pneumonia. The emergency room doctor at first could not believe that the new patient was already 13, as she was so small and thin. Answers to the simplest questions had to be begged from her for a long time, and if only a little raised voice. The girl's lips immediately began to tremble, and her eyes filled with tears. In general, all the medical staff agreed that the life of the child until the moment of admission to the hospital was a real nightmare, and they did not know that all nightmares were ahead of them. The girl was admitted to the intensive care unit. First, they washed her, scraped off the dirt, fed her. But everyone knows that medicine costs a lot of money, and it was impossible to get through to the relatives of the young patient. Yes, of course. The minimum necessary help was given to her, and knives were found, and medicines, but the girl did not even have a toothbrush. Nightgowns and gowns in this hospital patients must have their own. The old, worn-out clothes were immediately thrown away, and what to change into? The chief doctor gave the nurse Masha 2,000 rubles, sent to the store to buy the girl all the essentials. But Masha was more cunning than the man. She went to the market, where you can haggle well. She was able to buy a nightgown for the girl, 3 pairs of panties, slippers, a toothbrush, and a mug. The treatment required antibiotics. They're expensive. Inflammation of the lungs is not a simple cold, which is treated with tea and raspberries, but the head of the department always had some untouchable reserve. Where did it come from? Here. Say, prescribe a patient injections. 3 pieces, and there are 5 ampoules in the package. The other 2 should be returned if they're not needed, but the doctor pretends she forgot. If the patient asks for them, she'll give them back. If they don't, it's left for those who can't buy it themselves, like Lana. She also had bandages, disposable syringes, and many other things. The baby gradually came to herself, recovered, came to life. Her stepfather came once, made sure that Lana was not dead, and left again for a week. The girl's own mother was no longer alive. There were no other close relatives. Longing for warmth and affection, the girl reached out to the nurses, to her neighbors in the ward. Hospital is not the most cheerful place on earth, but it is here that people begin to appreciate the main thing: life and kindness. But time passed. The girl recovered, and it was time to discharge her. The head doctor called the stepfather, called the social service. The stepfather simply dropped the calls, and the social service replied that since the girl had a legal guardian, they could not send her to a shelter. It is necessary to apply to the police to open a case of improper treatment of a minor, and so on. On the eve of her discharge, Lana came to the nurses. It was in the evening, and she begged, "Aunt Nina, don't send me home. Can I live here? I can help. I can scrub the floors, read books if someone is bored. I can run to the shop. Well, lots of things. Ask Peter Vladimirovich, the head doctor, to let me stay here. I don't want to go home. My stepmother's fighting, and my stepfather's asking me strange questions and suggestions." "Well, what do you mean?" "He's pestering you." The nurses were horrified. "No, he doesn't offer intimacy. Not yet. He and my stepmother enough. But he makes me drink vodka." They were cunning. When the police came to see us, everything was clean, and they believed my guardians, not me. And then my stepmother beat me, but only so that there were no bruises. The hospital is good. Food, clean bed, no stink. It's like heaven. Well, Aunt Nina, Aunt Ira. However, the girl could not stay in the hospital. They sent her home, as if this could be called home. There's only one morgue in this town, in the same hospital. So that's where they take all the accident victims. That's where Lana was taken a week later. Why the girl was under the wheels of the car, the investigation is investigating. The driver claimed she jumped out of nowhere. He didn't have time to brake. The whole department of doctors were crying. They felt sorry for the unfortunate Lana. Once, when 40 days had passed since Lana's death, Nina, a nurse, was on night duty. She was walking down the corridor and suddenly, out of the corner of her eye, she noticed someone sneaking up behind her. And it should be said that the hospital saves on electricity. At night, there are only 2 lamps burning, at the beginning and at the end of the corridor. But it's right, everyone is asleep. So why burn light for nothing? Nina looked around. No one. She walked on. There's a shadow again, and then she looks. It's the ghost of a girl. She looked closely and realized it was Lana. She's wearing the dress they bought for her, but she's barefoot, her hair falling down over her chest, covering her face. Nina's feet felt like they were frozen to the floor. She wanted to run, but she couldn't move, and Lana raised her head, threw her hair off her face, and it was all disfigured. One eye swollen shut, her lip torn so that her teeth were visible, and her hands are all wounded. It's a terrible sight, but her dress is clean and new, probably newer than it was. And then Lana speaks, quietly, as if she had a runny nose. Aunt Nina, I'll live here now. It's nice, warm and clean. Let's drink tea. Nina almost died with fear. Her hand went up by itself and crossed herself. Though she was a non-believer and had never been to church before, except for a tour, the girl's ghost whimpered pitifully and disappeared. In the morning, to hear the story of Lana's return to the nurses, came half the hospital, including the chief doctor. And the most interesting thing, everyone believed in the ghost of the girl. No one doubted that Nina was telling the truth. Lana was happy here for the first time in her life, said Pyotr Vladimirovich. So she came back. It's a pity about the girl, but we'll have to get rid of her, go to church, order a prayer service for her repose. Believe it or not, it won't hurt. That's what Nina and Nurse Masha did. The ghost stopped appearing, but from time to time at night, they still hear someone humming Lana's favorite song.